5:52 a.m. early this morning, and this is one of the things I love about commercial properties. You can get out there early, especially in the summer when it's so hot and you don't want to be out there getting beaten down with the heat. You can go to the commercial properties early in the morning before people get there, before there's cars everywhere, and get some yards knocked out before 8 o'clock in the morning. I love that. I wish I had more commercial properties for that very reason. So we got some huge properties that I'm gonna take care of today, come back home, eat some breakfast, then go back out and knock out some residential properties. Let's get started, see what this day holds for us. Pulled up at the next stop and it actually started drizzling rain. Huge turnout. This is what I love. Empty parking lot. Don't have to deal with cars who are out here early. Said it over and over again, that dealing with the customers is way more challenging than dealing with the lawns. Okay, now some of you guys that are mowing grass may flip out when I say this, but it's 8:59. Okay, I did get a little wet. It's been over a 3-hour break. I came home, ate some food, paid my quarterly taxes, which I wasn't too happy about. Got gas in the ride-on spreader sprayer, got a whole bunch of lime on the back of this truck. And this is what I love about a flatbed truck. I just got a lot of room back there to hold all the material, carry a little handheld blower with me in case there's lime on the driveway and blow it off. And then I've got, you see over there, that's my little handheld, well, that's a chest mounted spreader that for small yards or hilly yards, I use that sometimes. But anyway, about to hit the road and go knock out some of these big commercial properties. I basically drink 2 smoothies in the morning. I don't drink coffee. So I'm not 2 in the morning, but one of 2 different kinds that I make. We have one of these Vitamix blenders. So this one is a scoop of peanut butter, half a banana, an avocado, sometimes a half of avocado, sometimes a whole avocado, maybe just a little bit of almond milk and some ice cubes or something. So avocado gives it some texture. I try to be a little healthier. The other one I make might be more appealing to some of you, and that is basically just a bag of mixed berries. So it's like raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, sometimes cherries in there. I put just some of that in there, frozen fruit, and then the avocado. The avocado makes it thick. You really can't taste it that much in my opinion, and it also just for health reasons. So if you see me drinking this mystery drink, that's what I'm drinking. Out here on a major highway, the very first stop. This yard may not look like much. It doesn't look like much to me either. You got, looks like centipede grass here. The lighter color's Bermuda. We're in November, so a lot of stuff's going dormant. But you ought to see how ugly it used to be. Okay, so this one's actually made weather, even though it's November, I mean, the weather is almost perfect. So I'm gonna fire up the machine. We're gonna sling some lime out here. Putting a dust mask on because this gets a little bit dusty, and try not to breathe this stuff in. So that's what I'm doing right now. Okay, I got that property knocked out. That was a $125 property, but I want to give you a lawn tip. I want to show you like what I'm actually doing on a property like this. Lots of traffic, okay, so there's gonna be some road noise. But when I took over this property, I mean, it was an absolute mess, and somebody may look at it and say it's still a mess. But what I'm seeing is all that blonde colored grass there is the dormant Bermuda. Now when you take over a property like this, it's so weedy that you have to just look and see, is there any Bermuda? And the great thing about Bermuda grass is very drought tolerant and it spreads really fast. So the other thing I'm seeing in here, it still looks like, I believe this darker color weed right there is dormant crabgrass. See, oh, now the cars are pulling in, so I got here before that happened. But there's some crabgrass. Did I say dormant crabgrass? It's actually dead crabgrass. So the crabgrass is dying off, and there's plenty of Bermuda in here. Now there's some other stuff in here. This is carpet grass. Again, we got a little bit of centipede. You got the wild garlic, wild onions popping up. And then there's also some cool season grasses mixed in here. So when you got a property like that that's totally nasty, and it's got cool season grass, it's got weeds. What I do on a situation like this is in January, when this goes totally dormant, also still got a bunch of Dallas grass mixed in here, then I'm gonna come in on a property like this and I'm gonna spray glyphosate along with prodiamine. So my prodiamine hopefully gonna keep a lot of the crabgrass from coming back next year, and then The glyphosate is, you know, what the active ingredient in Roundup, and so what you can spray that on a dormant Bermuda lawn. And you say, well, Jason, it's got a little bit of centipede grass in it. Well, I'm okay if I beat up that centipede because I actually want it gone. I want the Bermuda to fill in, but I'm not so sure it's gonna kill it. But you can see these cool season grasses, as the weather cools off in the fall, they really start showing out and turning green. So hopefully I can control a lot of that with the glyphosate in January, and again, putting out the prodiamine for my pre-emergent is gonna help keep a lot of the summer weeds out, including crabgrass. And then when we fertilize it later on in the spring or early summer, it's just gonna help. If you get rid of a lot of the weeds, it's just gonna allow the Bermuda to continue to fill in on this property. So that's what I do when I get really nasty properties like this with Bermuda grass. This property was pretty big, the next one's gigantic. Let's get going. Almost forgot to put my sign in the yard. This yard is not exactly one I'm proud of, to be honest with you, to show off, but the sign lets the customer know that I've been here. I get these signs. I've actually got a new design I'm really excited about. It's got what is it? A chameleon with a big long tongue eating a dandelion. So I'm using up these old signs. But I get my signs from Chad at spraysigns.com. He does a great job. And honestly, I saw some signs like this yesterday that were out from my last application about 7 weeks ago, and they're holding up very well in the weather, so that's a good thing. Let's think of this property as basically a gigantic version of the last property. Another big commercial property just right down the highway from the other one. Let me let you have a look. Huge. It goes way down there, okay? Gigantic, big warehouse area. This is far bigger than a football field. So we're gonna get going on this, hopefully be out of here in I don't know, hour and maybe an hour, we'll see. But let's try to knock this out. But it pays over $400. It's anyway, it's still a good property for me, and I'm gonna get to riding my machine and slinging some lime. Let's go. All right, I finished that yard. Happy to be done with that big one. And look, 801, and I've already done over $550 in revenue. Now, that's not all profit, obviously. I'm putting out a lot of lime. The lime's not free, but still, 801 and over $550 in revenue. That's why I love these commercial properties. Get out here in the morning, weather's great, and I can now move on and start doing residential properties where I didn't want to show up at a residential property at 6:15 this morning. I'm hoping next year to have a Z-spray to get out here on these big properties. That's going to make a huge difference. And I have actually used my spray tank and pulled a hose on this property, but I don't want to do that anymore. I want to spray with the big Z-spray and be a lot faster, even a lot faster on the lime. So hopefully I'll have that before next year. But can you imagine being out here pushing a push spreader on this yard? So a ride-on spreader sprayer is certainly the way to go, in my opinion. And if you're wanting to get into weed control and fertilization, I've been plugging these a lot, but I do have the Weed Control and Fertilization Academy at lawncarelife.com. It's a video training course. And if you've already bought that, or if you buy it now, then you get a free admission to the one-day live training event we're doing on November 29th. Me and my friend James Bartley near Birmingham, Alabama, a hands-on training day where we're gonna be spraying, we're gonna be riding equipment, we're gonna learn how to mix chemicals. So if you're wanting to get into weed control and fertilization, I would encourage you to check out one of those. The other thing I just came out with, I'll put the link to these things in the description, is the dynamic pricing chart. So it's basically my pricing chart that I use for weed control and fertilization, but I also have it where you can update it. If you want to go up on your prices next year, you change your minimum price, you change the additional price for 1,000 square feet, and it automatically populates the whole chart for you. So very helpful resource. That's 39 bucks at lawncarelife.com. All right, I just knocked out my third yard. It's a large property too. It was a $120 property, and hopefully soon gonna be starting to work on the small properties. It doesn't matter to me big or small. I mean, honestly, I probably prefer the smaller properties, because these big properties, you rack up a lot of revenue, but your expenses are higher as well. I find my margins are sometimes a little better on the small properties. But again, I love these commercial ones because you can get out here early. Maybe one thing I didn't talk about in this video was why we're putting out lime. Lime raises the pH of the soil. So if you have a low pH, you have acidic soil, which we tend to have in my area, then it basically can lock up the nutrients in the soil and not allow the plant to utilize the nutrients. So when you put fertilizer out the next year and you're putting all these nutrients out there, if the pH is low, that's my understanding, then the plant can't use all the nutrients that's available to it. So we put out basically a maintenance dose of lime every winter is the plan. That's what almost all the lawn care companies in my area do. Pulled up at the next stop and it actually started drizzling rain. So I need to check my radar, put the hopper cap over the hopper on my spreader so I don't get all my lime wet. Rain is not actually a big deal with the lime. I mean, it needs to be watered in anyway, and I'm not really spraying weeds today, so it doesn't matter about that. I don't particularly like getting wet though, so let me check the radar. I may have to sit this out for just a minute. All right. Not good. I checked it this morning. It looked like the rain had cleared up. Now 9 a.m. 87%, 10 a.m. 47%, 11 a.m. 60%, and then starts dropping off after that. So this isn't good at all. I think I'm going to try to knock this yard out, may get a little wet, and then go home. If it clears up this afternoon, get back out there and knock out some more yards. Okay, now some of you guys that are mowing grass may flip out when I say this, but it's 8:59. Okay, I did get a little wet. Let me show you. Got a little wet. Got a little wet, not too bad. But anyway, 8:59 in the morning, and I've made over $750 in revenue today. Now, let me put some caveats on that. It's lime, which is one of the fastest applications. I'm doing big properties, which generate more revenue. It's not all profit. I mean, there's a lot of things negative you could say about that. But just in the positive sense, that is pretty good. I'm just trying to convince people this is a pretty good business to be in. So, but it's raining. I got a little bit of wet on that one. This is about the only application I would do when it's kind of drizzling rain, because I'm not really spraying weeds. I'm just putting out the granular product. But I'm gonna take a break, go home, eat some late breakfast, I guess you'd call it. If the rain clears up, get back out here later today and see what else we can have doing. The other thing I want to mention, and you guys that mow grass know a lot about this too, but if it's, sometimes you get on those days and it says 50% chance of rain, which today honestly was like 20-something%, but it just sort of showed up on us. But sometimes you can get paralyzed by that and just sit home and like, well, I don't know if it's gonna rain, so I might not go. And you know, my theory is, if I need to get work done, I'm gonna go on out there and just try it. And if you get rained on, you have to quit. But I don't want to just, every time there's a 50% chance of rain, just say, well, we're just going to not work today. To me, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, fortunately, we have apps and all that, and you can look at radars that help make those decisions. But I would rather be a little overly aggressive in those situations. That's just my opinion. It's been over a 3-hour break. I came home, ate some food, paid my quarterly taxes, which I wasn't too happy about, but I needed to get that done. And now back out to knock out a few more yards. So I'm gonna try to get, I'm gonna say 7 or 8 more yards this afternoon, and hopefully lighten my load moving into next week. Let's get going. All right, it's almost 2 o'clock. Got out here, I've done a few more yards. Good thing is I'm getting these annual prepay letters out, the people that paid last year, so I'm happy about that. When I take a 3-hour break in the middle of the day, it's hard to get up and get as motivated again. But the sun did come out a little bit, and so I'm getting some yards knocked out. One quick story. I had a customer the other day that was behind on their bills, you know, maybe 2 or 3 months since they had paid, which I'm only coming 7 times a year. So anyway, but they owed for application, have been unable to get them. I think they had a card on file, and then the card got declined. So I was trying to get them to put a new card on file. Well, I finally get a call from them, and they, you know, say, hey, we'll put a new card on file. Sorry about that, no big deal. And as we're talking, she says, and I've got a lot of weeds in my backyard. And I'm sitting there, and it just didn't sound right to me. But anyway, this backyard is tiny. I'm saying like maybe 10 feet by 10 feet. I mean, almost. I said, that little bitty backyard? She said, yeah, it's crazy. A bunch of weeds in the backyard. So, okay, well, I'll check them out next time I'm there. Well, anyway, point being, I'm here today to put the lime on the yard. And I looked back there, I didn't see a single weed, not one weed. Which is what I was thinking, like this time of year, in the fall, there's typically not that many weeds. I mean, the summer weeds are dying out. The cool season weeds are not really that active. You know, they won't be as noticeable. And I just got through spraying back, you know, not too long ago, which killed off whatever weeds there were, most of them. So anyway, it was just very unusual. But I think the point is this: when somebody is behind on their bill, sometimes it's similar to if two of my children are arguing with each other and you ask them what's going on, what happens? Normally the one is going to tell you what the other one did, okay? And so I think oftentimes the customer is basically trying to distract attention from the fact that they're months behind on their bill. And so they say, you know, talking about that, and that's a kind of uncomfortable topic for them. So they say, I got a bunch of weeds in my backyard. Even though it wasn't true, there wasn't any, I mean, literally I didn't see a single weed. But anyway, it's not a big deal. But just something to be aware of. I've said it over and over again that dealing with the customers is way more challenging than dealing with the lawns. And this was just an example. Don't overreact. I didn't accuse her of lying. I'm not going to go back to her and try to make her feel ashamed that she told me that there was weeds when there's really not. I just chalk it up. When somebody tells you that, you just give them a polite answer. Okay, well, I'll be happy to look at it when I'm out there next time. And I came out here and looked at it, and there's no weeds. Just keep that in mind. All right, I just finished up this neighborhood, 8 yards in this neighborhood, very small yards, tiny, mostly walking around with that chest spreader. I don't have that much energy left, but I want to get the lime off the back of my truck. My truck's a mess, my sprayer's a mess, I'm nasty. I want to go do a few more large yards I can ride on to get the rest of this lime gone. Go home, try to get my truck cleaned up a little bit, relax over the weekend, so hopefully I can be back up ready to go with a little more energy on Monday. All right, just looked at the clock, it's 3:18. I'm gonna call it quits. It is a Friday. I've had a real productive week, and honestly, I counted up, it's like 15 yards today. I had that 3-hour break, took my momentum away. So did 4 really large properties this morning, then took the break because of the rain, and came back, knocked out the one little neighborhood, which was 8 properties, and just did 3 more larger ones to get the lime off my truck. I'm gonna go home, try to clean the truck up just a little bit, and wrap up the day, email my invoices using yard book, charge cards on file, all that kind of last minute paperwork, which doesn't take too long, and then look forward to relaxing on the weekend. Appreciate you watching me today. If you haven't done so, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next video.